Hi everybody. Today I'm breathing very well because I'm at high altitude in the great Ailao Mountain in Jingdong County in the middle of Yunnan. And I'm in the tea factory of Mr. Huang, a Taiwanese gentleman who settled here over 20 years ago. And today I'm going to tell you about oolong tea production. So come with me in the factory and we're going to check. Unfortunately, we came on the last day of Mr. Huang production run in this area, in his tea factory. So part of the processing is already done. But I'm going to explain you the processing as well as I can. So first, when you receive the harvest, the leaves, you put them on the roof. They have a drying house, and it will go through a first sun withering. So it's important to have a sun withering in order to soften the leaves. We also use this for black tea sometimes, but it's a crucial step in oolong processing. You're going to do that for about half an hour so that you get softer fresh leaves. Then the leaves which are on the roof are just brushed through this hole. They fall here and they are gathered in some flat bamboo baskets, you know, the famous bojis, which are ubiquitous in Yunnan, and even more when it comes to oolong tea production. So they are just put like this. They are laid and they are laid for 2 hours for a shade withering. Okay, shade withering. Then they're going to be shaken. So that's called the Yaoching. And so the goal is well, let me just take another boji, and you do like this. Or if you want to look less ridiculous than I am, you can use that very nice machine, which is still very rare, or you can call a professional to do that Yaoching. So Mr. Huang has some Yaoching specialists who do the shaking. So it's very important to do the shaking in order to start the oxidation well in the oolong tea. So oolong tea is a half oxidized tea, and the whole goal of the tea processing is to slowly trigger the oxidation, stop it at the right time, and then control how the water will be released from the tea leaf and have dry tea. Okay, so the Yaoching is the first step that will trigger a significant amount of oxidation. So after 2 hours, so half an hour of shade drying, 2 hours of after half an hour of sun drying and 2 hours of shade drying, you get the first Yaoching. Then you're going to lay them again on the bamboo baskets for another 2 hours. Then another hand Yaoching. Then another withering, another Yaoching, another withering. You do that 4 times. So it's going to take 8 hours, that first withering and shaking step. 4 hours, and the final at the end of the 8 hours. At the end of those 8 hours, you're going to use this machine. So this is a Yaoching machine, and this is also you will see this one in every oolong tea at every oolong tea producer's factory. So it's simply a bamboo tube that rotates, and you can see that well, the leaves will be moved up and will fall. So it's a more violent treatment than the first hand shaking. Okay, so it will bruise the leaf cells even more. Once the leaves are bruised like this, so we're going to do that at the end of our 8 hours. We're going to do that for about 10-15 minutes. Then come with me to the next step, which will be the oxidation phase. So this is the oxidation room, And you can see, thanks to this machine, it has controlled temperature and humidity. So again, you just lay the leaves on the bamboo baskets. At this time, they will still look green, but they will start to smell very good because they have been bruised through the shaking step before. And now you're just gonna let them oxidize. So you just lay them on those flat bamboo baskets and you wait. And you're gonna wait for between 3 and 5 hours. And interestingly, Mr. Huang actually doesn't control the degree of oxidation with time. So usually, for example, if you'd want a high oxidation, some farmers would use a longer fermentation time, but actually here, most of the time he will use 4 hours fermentation, and he will control the fermentation rate with the temperature. So for example, if you want a low oxidation, maybe 20 degrees Celsius. If you want a higher oxidation, maybe 30 degrees Celsius. And here, thanks to this machine, so this is just a fan with a big dehumidifier, and so it's a humidity extractor, basically. You have to manage the flow of water in the leaf. So you have one problem is you have much more water in the stems than in the foliar material, than in the leaf tissues. And you want to extract the leaf from the stems. And usually if you do nothing, what's going to happen is that the leaves will be dried, but the stems will still be wet. That's the common case when we make pu'er tea. And we don't really care about this in the pu'er tea production because it will be sun-dried anyway. But here for the oolong, it's also a crucial point to control. So by controlling, actually, you're going to extract the humidity, so you want to create a dry environment in this room so that you have a faster extraction rate of the water, and you will have a pool actually. Since the air is very dry, the leaf is going to be more evaporated from the leaf tissues. The water is going to be more evaporated from the leaf tissues, and that will in turn draw the water that's in the stem to the leaf tissues. Okay, and you can control actually the speed at which water is extracted by controlling the humidity in the room, thanks to this humidity extractor. So of course you can imagine in terms of physics, you can imagine that you have the stems, you have the leaf, and you have the air, and the three are kind of boxes, and there are small pipes through these boxes through which the water goes. And depending on the difference in temperature, in moisture between those small containers, you will have different rates of transfer between those different parts of your system. Maybe I will do a more detailed video about those moisture transfers through different through the system. Once your leaves have reached the desired fermentation point, it's time to stop the oxidation point. We're going to do that with a simple Yaoching Ji. This Yaoching machine you can find in many pu'er tea producers' home. And yeah, this model originally was used for oolong tea production mainly. So it's quite like a pu'er tea, but in this case we want to make sure we have a complete Yaoching. So we're going to fix the leaves, stop the oxidation by destroying all the enzymes, and for that we want a pretty high temperature. So we're going to use 300 degrees, 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that the Yaoching is complete. After that, of course, the tea is not going to be able to oxidize further. And now the next part of our processing is to dry the leaves. And it's a long process when it comes to oolong tea. It's a long process because at the same time as the tea is drying, we want to press it, we want to roll it into small pearls. So right after the Yaoching, we're going to have a short rolling in this machine. And you can have a look on the machine. You can see this is a machine like this that can rotate. I'm not going to activate it now. It was just to show you. So it rotates like there's this arm, and you do that for just maybe 30 seconds. Just to give a basic shape to the tea. Then you're going to put these leaves. So at this point, the leaves are still warm. They just come from the Yaoching machine. And it's important to keep the leaves warm throughout the whole process. It's important because as soon as the leaves get cold, they will get harder and will break more easily. You don't want your leaves to break. You can see, so you put the leaves which are still warm in a cloth and you press it like this. So you roll it tight in that cloth with the help of a machine, and you're going to roll it then with this other machine. And you can see there's a whole row of machines because it's a very time-consuming process. Every batch will be rolled for 5 minutes, then they will be put to rest for 15 minutes, so it means that you untie the cloth, you let the leaves loose, and then after 15 minutes you just put them back in the cloth, roll it, press it again, and roll it. It's a little bit like folding the leaf, actually. And the thing is, you have to to repeat this process. So Mr. Huang here repeats it 24 times. It takes 20 minutes for each cycle. So it's going to take you 8 hours. This process is going to take you 8 hours. So it's usually a process that's done throughout the night. Well, it really depends on the picking schedule. You're going to do this, and the more you roll it, actually it's both a drying and a rolling, because, well, 8 hours is a significant amount of time, and during that time water will keep evaporating from the leaves, and as you roll it you kind of squeeze the water out of the leaves. So you're slowly getting the leaf dry, all while rolling it into a tiny ball. And and I'm going to show you because as I said, you have to keep the leaves warm. So it means that at every step of every cycle, you're going to need to reheat the leaves. So you can see that here. So this is the dryer. This is used to dry the leaves for the final step. But here they just work at low temperature in order to reheat the leaves. You can have a look. So this is some nice tea which is being made, and you can see that it is partially rolled. So we'll need many more steps before it is rolled into a ball. And it's warm. It's at about 40 degrees Celsius, I would say. And so it's very important not to let it cool down, because if it cools down again, it's going to break. Okay? So you have that 20-minute cycle which involve tying the tea into a cloth, tying it tightly, then rolling the tea for 5 minutes, untying it, letting it loose, letting it rest, rewarming it, and you do it again. This tea is going to be rewarmed. You can see the cloth is prepared. They're going to tie it and put it in the machine again. And so they do that all day. So this is quite a very time-consuming process, very workforce heavy. And as I said, this is the dryer, and it's going to be for the final step. Once all your balls have been, once all your tea is rolled, you're going to increase the temperature in this dryer, and you're going to dry the tea. You're going to give the final dry. And if you want to roast it, you can use this dryer for simple roast. So the amount of roast, of course, will depend on the temperature and the time you dry it. Or you can use charcoal roasting. Charcoal roasting, we don't have this available in this factory. Maybe it's something that Mr. Huang will set up in the future. And so that's how you process oolong tea. So let me summarize again. You start on the roof with the sun drying, then with the sun withering, then we have shade withering, yaoching, the bruising step with the flat bamboo basket. You repeat 4 times, okay? Every time a couple seconds of shaking step, 2 hours of withering, okay? You repeat 4 times. Then you go once in the big machine here, in the bruising machine, 10-20 minutes. Then we go to the fermentation room. Then, yeah, let's go through the fermentation room. Then we go to the Yaoching, so the fixation step to kill the enzyme. A quick roll with this machine, a couple of seconds. Remember to keep the tea hot. You roll it into cloths, put it in that machine there to tie the cloth. You can see this machine, make it very tight. Put it in those rolling machines, this row of rolling machines, which will slowly press the tea progressively. Don't forget to reheat the tea at the dryer and repeat the process. Repeat this process 24 times and then you get a final drying. That's how you make oolong tea. Thank you for watching and see you later.